I hate it when I go on TikTok because they have all these stupid songs, Molly.
We're
Let's see when
live. We're live.
oh,
We're
we're live.
live.
Oh, sorry. Hello, beautiful people. How are you? Sorry,
Hi,
apologies.
everyone. Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing? You know what? I'm in such a good mood.
Me too.
I'm in such a good mood. Like, such a good mood. You know what? I love your haircut, by the way. And it's darker, right? Or is it?
No, it's just that I cut the hair so all the burnt sides of the summer they
Yeah.
come.
No, I love the haircut. I love that you've gone a bit shorter. I love it.
Oh, thanks so very much.
You
That is
look
so
good.
kind of
You
you.
look
Give me
really
you're so
good.
pretty.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, hello, hello.
I should let everyone know that I am streaming this to my channel also. So we have both channels. Both of us and Enty will be joining us soon also. He's just wrapping up what he's doing.
He's such a sought after guy, isn't he? Because
He's very knowledgeable,
yeah.
and there's something about his voice too. That's what I see in a lot of my comment section, because I posted our chat that we had on Monday. He shared the content with me, so I put it up on my YouTube. And there's just something just so easy just talking to him. It doesn't feel like an hour when you talk with him, right? It just goes by so quick.
I think he hypnotizes us.
I think so too.
It's like a snake charmer.
Yeah.
Is that how they do that? So, Molly, where should we take it off today? Come on. What should we take it
Where
off?
should we kick it off? Well, I don't want to be talking about any of that other garbage, so let's pass all that by, right? Let's kick it off with Catherine's beautiful video. Some feel no, wait, I have something better. Hold on a second. I have something better.
Share it so we can
Hold on. I have something better. Let me pull it up here on my channel, and then I'll share my screen. Okay, ready? I saw, because William was out and about on an engagement, right? Today.
That meant such fine eye candy. With all due respect, sir, hubba.
So he was at the Sovereign's Parade at the Royal Air Force College in Cranwell. He was standing in for the king. Let me show you some photos here. If you share my screen.
Yeah, I reposted that.
Hi, Chihuahua. Hi, Willie, yum. I know I was getting some hate the other day for like going all like, oh, William, my ovaries are exploding. And someone sent me a message saying, you are disgusting the way you are speaking about another woman's husband. And then I just responded with ovaries.
That's insane. That is insane. That is insane. We can lust after him. Why not?
Look,
Molly.
I'm trying to show the full photos. I'm trying to see why I can't show the whole images.
Click on it.
I'm trying. It's not coming.
Oh, well, yeah. But where was it? Where was it? But look at that, man.
Look at this.
He's lost weight. He looks like gone through a lot of stuff, like he looks. And there's Enty Lawyer coming on. Hello, Enty. How are you, Enty?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. We're just lusting after William, which is actually, at my age, I probably should, but I don't care. He's some fine eye candy for anybody to look at. Yay.
Yeah, I don't lust after him for whatever reason.
How are you, Enty? Thanks for joining us. How are you, love?
I'm great. How are you guys?
We're doing We're doing
you know how I invited him? I asked him if he could be part of our sandwich today.
Yes, you did.
That's why he's in the middle, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Sandwiched.
Let's do some skiing here. Why don't we?
Enty, what have you got for us? What's up with all those perp walks? And you have to give us the tea in regards to that People magazine expose where they first wrote that they got an email from Harry, and then they amended it as via the spokesperson, and Meghan's pap walks. What's going on? This woman is unraveling.
Honestly, with the People magazine thing, I think it was just,
oh my God.
I'm always going to be, anti, but I honestly think that the way that they wrote it made it seem like it came from Harry, but it probably did come from his quote unquote spokesperson, who is probably Meghan. But I'm just saying that they probably said, hey, it didn't come directly from Harry or whatever. So I think it was just, you know, a reporter using bad language.
But it's kind of, but we know that they're the source.
Yeah, no, they're the source. Yeah, 100%. You know, their spokesperson, they don't have a spokesperson. It's just Meghan or whatever, you know, just typing away on her keyboard. But in that particular instance or whatever, I just think they wanted the phrasing to be different. And so People Magazine did that. They didn't issue a correction or anything. They just, you know, changed it differently. I'm more upset today because it feels like the whole pro Meghan crowd is trying to make a big deal out of the video that Catherine William released and saying, oh, it's all photoshopped, it's fake, it's all this kind of stuff. And it feels like it's overwhelming in the amount of hatred they have for that video.
I saw that. There was some what was her name? Oh, I forgot her name. The girl for The Standard who wrote that article about how there was too much PDA in it and it was disgusting and the Queen would never approve. What was her name? It was like Melody or something like that, but she wrote it for The Standard. And she was just going in. And at the end of the day, I feel like they wanted to see Catherine sickly, hair all gone. They wanted to see her like lost weight and stuff. And even if she did come out in public looking like an actual, like your stereotypical cancer patient, they would have still been mean to her. They would have still said vile things about her. When the video was put out, people were saying, oh, we never see William and Catherine ever show PDA. And now that they do, it's like, oh, it's disgusting. They shouldn't be doing it. Like, they can't win.
That's disgusting. That's Enty, I don't know if you know this, but you can also stream our live to your YouTube channel. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's very complicated for me. So I'll just post it later.
Yeah. But I mean, what were you going to say, Enty? What were you going to say?
I don't remember. But I
well,
just
about the video, that Catherine's video.
No, the Catherine's video. And I think that their whole point always is to try and detract and take away and just compete. And it's just seems so petty. You know, you have the video come out and then they decide that they're going to, you know, release the teaser for the polo show. And, you know, that was a choice that, and it's not the first time that Netflix has done that, right? They capitalize on whatever kind of attention that William and Catherine might be getting. And then, you know, try and use that to their own advantage. Oh, let's use this, and look, by the way, look what's going on over here. And I thought it was kind of tasteless. And Netflix would probably say something like, oh, you know, we had planned that weeks and weeks and weeks in advance. No, they were just waiting for some kind of publicity and then they just drop it.
Mm-hmm. So you think this is Netflix behind it, not Harry or Meghan?
Oh, no, I think Harry and Meghan are behind it. I just think that Netflix, you know, they can choose to release it whenever they want. That show doesn't come out for months, right?
I know. Why now?
Exactly. It was just to take advantage of that. And, you know, I'm not going to, I've said on here before many times that I think that the polo show is a good idea and that, you know, I would have made it differently than they are, because I don't think the way that they have it is going to relate to, you know, the general population, because the way they're taking it is to show like these elite athletes, you know, they ride horses and they swing a mallet. But, you know, I would have done it differently, but, you know, Boardwalk Productions is a legit company. They did Last Chance U, which is one of my favorite shows. And they did Cheer, which is problematic because I think that they knew about all the molesting that was going on. But I think that,
sorry, I shouldn't laugh,
you know, so to partner with a company that does, you know, that had a bunch of child molesting and underage stuff and people thrown into jail is a choice. But, you know, Last Chance U is a really good show. And I think that I've always said that the polo thing is not a bad idea. The cooking show is a horrible idea. And
why was it a horrible idea from the Duchess?
I just think that cooking shows on streaming channels need to be unique. They need to, let's go and visit a bunch of different countries in the world and let's, do something like that. There's too many choices when it comes to cooking shows and cooking programs, that you can watch on Food Network or whatever, and or the Cooking Channel and stuff. And so streaming ones need to be special. And there's nothing special about hers. And like I said, it's not in their calendar for a long, long time. I don't think at this point, I don't think that the cooking show is ever going to make it to air.
Interesting that they post Harry's show though. And you know what? In many ways, I think like you, I think that this show is going to fail because it's so unrelatable. Everything they do is so pretentious, pompous, elitist, and unrelatable because they always try to do this show holier than thou. You know that Molly got me hooked. I'm watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, right? Or even Selling Sunset. Those girls can dirty fight, but they get down and dirty. But Meghan Markle and Harry want to be like, oh, we're so perfect. We're perfect. It's so it puts people off. I mean, what do you think, Molina and Enty?
I think like Last Chance U is something. It's about underdogs, right? It generally takes place at junior colleges. It started with football and then it went to basketball. And one of my best friends is a huge fan of Last Chance U, and he and I, we went and they were following a team in Los Angeles, and so he and I went to a game and stuff, and he's just geeking out and everything because all the cameras are there and stuff. And this is a guy who's in film, very high up in film, but he was just geeking out at the show. But it's about underdogs, right? It's about these people that that's their last chance. That's why it's called Last Chance U. They've stumbled, they've done drugs, they had a chance to go to a bigger school, maybe they robbed somebody, they ended up in jail, so this is their last chance. And polo is in a completely different thing. And if you're going to say like Harry is a world-class elite athlete and pretend that he's some kind of polo superstar or something like that, that's just not, it's not believable, it's not relatable. Polo itself is not relatable at all because there's very few polo fields around the country. There's very few polo fields around the world. People don't understand the sport. Last Chance U focuses on football and basketball. Everybody knows football. Everybody knows basketball. And polo is just not that. And that's why I've always said you could make this show really great, but you need to make it like a Real Housewives. You need to have the wives and girlfriends are the ones that should be the focus if you want to make a successful show. There's just nobody who is going to get interested in, oh, these guys are riding around because they want to make it seem like it's, I don't know, like a film rather than a reality show. And it's not going to attract anybody to watch it. You have to get the dirt. Selling Sunset's on Netflix. Selling Sunset, oh my God, they just throw an incredible amount of dirt, and it's like down even lower than like Real Housewives and something, but that gets people to watch. And this is not going to be that show. And yes, they brought in a good partner or whatever to do it, but it's still not going to change the fact that nobody's going to relate to polo.
Especially Harry, this. And I heard that PETA is complaining about it.
Yeah, because, okay, I think I've been to like 5 or 6 polo matches or something like that. And I think, I want to say 2, but just to be sure, I had 1, like a horse put down. Right. So it is fairly common, right? It is not, it happens probably once a weekend. When they play polo, maybe once every other weekend that a horse dies. And, so obviously it's horrific. And I think that PETA, when the show comes out, is going to have some kind of thing to go viral or whatever to show like scenes of all these horses being put down while rich people sip champagne in their really expensive clothes.
That is disgusting. Wasn't Meghan a champion for animals, for pets?
Yeah. She was an animal activist, as she calls herself, while wearing calf leather skirts.
But I mean, what?
I was saying that I hope PETA, if they do cause a huge disturbance afterwards, I hope that they pull up the images of Harry putting his spurs into the polo ponies that he would ride.
The pregnant horse that he killed.
Yeah, yeah. I hope they bring that up. I hope they bring the images of him losing his cool with the ponies. There's a reason why Harry has never owned a polo pony himself. Think about it. William has always had horses and everything, but never Harry. He's always using other people's horses, like Nacho's horses, but he's too fat to be sitting on those horses now. Yeah. He shouldn't even be on them. His weight is way too high for those horses.
And I wanted to ask, we wanted to know, Enty, because I don't understand why Meghan are doing such a big deal out of the little bookstore opening. Why? Is it because they don't get invited to the A-list things? Because, I mean, this is a little bookstore opening, and she leaked the pictures of her with the black shirt. You can clearly see her bodyguard or some assistant was taking those pictures. I mean, why are they making? Do you have any tea on this thing?
I just think it's ridiculous. I think that I think I told Molly earlier this week or whatever that bookstore just seems like a horrible idea. And her speech was ridiculous. What was it? My chapter of joy or something like that. I love that she's got this camera set up for herself, and then Oprah just says, I'm going to sit right in front of the camera because I'm Oprah. And then it also shows you, there's some other things that the people have tried to make from it, but it just shows you that Oprah came in late, right? Oprah didn't care. Oprah is just like, come when I want. Meghan, you're the opening act. I'm the headliner. So, it just, and everybody, what people focus on like the clip that Molly's showing right now, where she does the little hand thing and trying to say, to get away or whatever. But that's, I think that she's just talking about she goes over and buys a book. But I think that she's flustered and she's upset that her spotlight has been stolen by Oprah, because now nobody's going to listen to Meghan. Nobody's paying attention to Meghan, right? As soon as Oprah walks into the room, everybody's just going, oh my God, that's Oprah. Oprah's here. Oprah's sitting here. And the attention is completely directed away from Meghan. And she must have hated that all of a sudden, as soon as Oprah walks in the room, nobody cares about Meghan Markle.
Yeah. Nobody cares about her.
Paula, if you scroll down, I have a closer video of her sucking on her dentures and getting flustered.
Should I open the thing and then you have it below, or should I scroll down here?
Scroll down a little bit. Yeah, scroll down. And it's a whole separate post.
Okay, let me see. Yeah. Oh, 9/11. What a
right
terrible.
There. Right there. Yeah, open it.
Get the book. Go get the book.
Look at her licking her lips. She looked like a lizard. She's really angry. She's trying not to get over
the safety of what I was craving, I knew I could find in a bookstore. Get the book. Go get the book. Go get the book.
Well, first of all, she should have said in this story, I know she's at a bookstore, but again, that makes you elitist. Oh, I can go and do this. She should have said, libraries. She should have been talking about libraries and things like that. And, that she wants to escape and everything. I know it's a bookstore or whatever, but the story becomes more relatable if you say library, right? Because books are expensive. And especially, some bookstore and stuff. Or she could have said, I didn't like the way, I didn't like anything about her speech. I thought it was stupid. I thought it was word salad. I think that it could have been so much better. It felt like it was kind of off the cuff and she didn't rehearse it enough. And it was just bad. I don't remember what, I know you guys will know. But the owner of it, one of the co-founders, what was she doing? Why is she a bad person? Who knows?
One of the co-founders. Well, I know that the co-founders, like the reason why Harry and Meghan are involved is because Jennifer Rudolph Walsh is actually Harry's literary agent.
Oh, and WME. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's and then, of course, Victoria Jackson, because Meghan wants her millions.
it feels very Hampton-esque, right? What I took from it, I know that you were saying like that Harry was dressing like William or whatever. What I'd like to know is how come they have to dress like twins, right? It's like, maybe he wanted to wear, no, we need to match. We need to match. I'm going to pull out these pants that I last wore a couple of years ago. And you and I are going to match. And that's the way it is. And the other thing, and I know you guys have talked about it probably, are these hugs. Okay. Everybody in LA hugs. I don't have a problem with the hug. It's kind of slowed down a little bit since COVID, but everybody hugs. But it's not like these full body hugs like this where, it's like, this is the way you hug your mom, right? This is not, in LA, hey, good to see you kind of hug. And it's basically, I feel like they're dry humping.
Yeah, that's the feeling I get too. That's the feeling I always get also. Paula, I just sent you a couple of screenshots because I found out the prices of the books that they're selling the bench at this Godmother's bookstore and Spare.
Let's pull them up.
So they are trying to sell Harry's book for $36 at this Godmother's bookstore when you can find it on Amazon or get it on Kindle for free or get it for $11 on Amazon. The bench is being sold for $18.99, and you can usually find the bench in most dollar store bins, last chance bins for 99 cents, or even you can find it on Amazon for like cheap. But yeah, they've marked it up highly. Yeah, they've marked it up like crazy. $1 in a charity shop.
I'm gonna put them up here, Molly, too, so we can watch it. But what do you make of this? Because I was thinking, Enty, why? Is it because they don't get invited to anywhere? Because I know that Gwyneth Paltrow and Cameron Diaz, they sent people to this place. They didn't go themselves because Gwyneth Paltrow's book was there too, right? And then, but they didn't bother to go. But Meghan Markle went there both days, and it's like, why?
I don't know. I mean, Gwyneth, she's got a shop over there. So, you got to support your fellow, shop owners or whatever. So I understand that. But she doesn't get invited anywhere. It's just like the only time that. And the thing is, she has to use her connections. Like, remember, she had that run of concerts that she went to. And like, she went to the Beyonce concert a couple of nights in a row where Harry looked so bored and stuff like that. It's not that she gets invited. She's just like calling Ari up and saying, hey, I want some, tickets or whatever to Beyonce and things like that. Because Beyonce wasn't inviting her. Beyonce didn't say, hey, I'd love for you to come to my show. I'd love for you to. No, she's getting it through her agent because it's a toxic, polarizing thing. Why do you. I'm guessing the reason she was invited was because of the owner and the connection to William Morris. That's the only thing I can think of, because you don't think of Meghan Markle as somebody to be out there, shilling for books. Oprah makes perfect sense. 100%. I see why Oprah was there, right? Oprah's had a book club for 30 years, right? So it totally makes 1000% sense that Oprah was there. Oprah lives there. Oprah's had a book club forever. Oprah's not. If you think about Oprah and books, you go, okay, that's a logical pairing. You think about Meghan and books, you go, really? Why? What? What does she have to do with books? What does she have to do with books?
And I don't understand it. If Harry's represented by one of the co-owners of the store, why didn't he give the speech instead of Meghan Markle?
Why do you think?
I mean, come on, Paula.
I was just being facetious. I was just wanting your input. I mean, but this is disgusting. Meghan Markle goes from being on royal balconies to making a big deal out of the little bookstore, because even Oprah hasn't posted anything on her socials about this opening.
Yeah, Meghan's been acting like it's her bookstore opening, being caught in front of it, walking in the parking lot now, being caught in there. Like, I don't know.
Okay. Can I? Okay. This is where marketing 101 and Meghan don't work together. What would, okay, if I was going to a bookstore opening and I was, wanted to seem relatable, and I wanted to have people come to my side, right? And I wanted to set up some kind of situation where everybody was like, oh, you would bring your kids, right? You would bring the kids. It's a bookstore. Let's sit down and let's read a book to the kids. And that would have been a much better thing to do instead of getting up and doing this word salad thing that literally made no sense and had no meaning. It contributed nothing to the world. And there's a scene like in Billy Madison of all movies or whatever, where like somebody's like giving a speech or something, and the guy at the end goes, that just wasted everybody's time and it contributed nothing. And that's what happened with Meghan Markle. I think that she thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about the chapter of joy and all of this, and I'd go to a bookstore and how important it was in my life. And it's not true. It's not true. She's never talked about books. She's never done anything like that. No, none. The Oprah thing works. I get it. I'm not the biggest fan of Oprah, but if you want to say, hey, gosh, who could we get to come to our book club or bookstore? Oprah makes sense to me. I don't understand it. If Harry's not a good speaker, so you got a choice, but Meghan wanted the attention. I'm telling you guys, she must have been so upset that Oprah came in while she was doing that. So upset. It must have just, because what it did was two things. It distracted, took away all the attention, took the oxygen out of the room. She's telling this BS crap word salad story, where at least people are looking at her, and Oprah comes in, so it distracts from that. And then it also shows everybody that Oprah was not there when she started speaking. So again, it shows Oprah's the headliner. Meghan's just this trivial opening act. And if Oprah hadn't walked right in front of the camera or whatever, people wouldn't have known. But now we know that Oprah didn't even care enough about Meghan to be there before Meghan started speaking.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing is, Molly, were you the one who posted? Or did you guys post this where Oprah, with they actually Elizabeth Holmes, not the convicted felon or whatever, but the girl who actually recorded this thing, went on TikTok and she's actually crying that she saw Oprah. Never mind Meghan, that she was sitting right next to Oprah. And by the way, Ozempic is failing Oprah, isn't it? Because she looked pretty mighty big there.
I think Oprah is, here's what Oprah's going to do when we get to the talking about the weight loss thing. Okay. So we start with Ozempic, which is, for type 2 diabetes, obviously. And it's definitely geared more towards that. But we use Ozempic now interchangeably with, Wegovy and stuff like that. And the weekly weight loss shot. That's why I just call it the weekly weight loss shot, because they're Manjaro, whatever. But Oprah is going to be on this train where now the plebes, the peons of the world are going to be the ones who have to get the weekly injection. And the rich people in the world are going to now start taking a pill. And that way they don't have to have injections. They don't have to go to a doctor. They're just going to take a pill. And she is behind this pill. And I think that that's where you're going to see Oprah just saying, because I think she's got like a 15% stake in this pill. And wait a minute,
what? I just sounded like Oprah hated that. Sorry. What do you mean by that?
So there's this pill that's going to replace the weekly weight loss shot. And it's shown that it actually is twice as effective, and it also keeps the weight off longer, and it's a lot more convenient than having to, give yourself a shot every single week. And so her marketing is going to be, but she's behind it, which is why I don't think that she's actually using the shot. I think that she's trying to gain a little bit of weight. So that way she can, when this pill, it's beyond like the first stages of trials. It's about ready to be sold. And she's behind it. And I think that she's going to say, look what this pill does. Look at my weight here and look at what this pill. And it's going to be, astronomically expensive. And only, the rich people, and they're going to say, oh, you're just a plebe. You have to take a shot. Look at this. I can afford this pill or whatever. And she's going to make it so it's so in demand that she gets a bunch of money from it.
But she should have been accused of fraud when she went on that Weight Watchers stage shaming people. Oh, I don't take medication. I do it the real way. You know, even with my knee operation, I didn't want to cheat. Well, she was cheating. That woman should be in jail because that's fraud. I don't understand why the shareholders didn't go after her, because I would have if I had any stake on that. And that, by the way, stake, not as an eating, guys. I can see people debating that on the chat thing. I mean,
the whole Weight Watchers thing. I mean, they did kick her out, right? She had to sell her stake and she's off the board and everything. But every single celebrity always says, oh, it's this new diet. Kelly Clarkson, oh, it's this diet. I work out all the time and all this kind of stuff. And oh, I wouldn't take the shot. And then like a month later, okay, well, yeah, I took the shot for a little while. You know, every single person does this. Janet Jackson, oh, you know, I've been just eating broccoli and drinking water. That's all I've been doing. That's why I've lost the 60 pounds. Christina Aguilera, oh no, you know, I just been going to the gym and stuff. That's, you know, this is why I look like I did 30 years ago. You know, you can just tell when people do it, and it's very, they all Ice Spice, you know, if you want to get like that. She's like, oh no, I go to the gym and everything, and that's why. And no, it's not. You're taking the shot. And just, you know, because they all think that there's some kind of angle to this. They all think, oh, I can make some money. I can sell some diet. I can sell some book. I can do something like that and make people believe that I did this. And they don't want to say that they just did the shot because they always think that there's some kind of angle where they can make money.
I have a question though. With Oprah and losing all the weight from using whatever substances she used, wouldn't she have a lot of skin, saggy skin that she would need liposuction for? Because she was quite big, and that's a lot of weight she lost. Like when she showed up for the color purple, she was very trim. So usually there would be a lot of excess.
Yeah, you just stuff yourself into some Spanx.
I was going to say Spanx.
Or Skims, you know.
I was going to say Spanx.
You know, she had some kind of surgery way back in the day. Remember when she was on Slim Fast and she lost like 200 pounds or whatever? And, you know, I think she had surgery then, and then, you know, ballooned up and stuff. And then, yeah. So I'm sure she's had multiple surgeries. Everybody's had some kind of surgery.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm not surgery shaming her or anything. I was just wondering, because I would be like, where is all that skin going?
But Molly, I read that plastic surgeons say that if you're on Ozempic or any type of drug like that, you have to stop taking it for a month before they can operate on you, because I don't know, there's some sort of side effects or something like that. I don't, you know, why doesn't she just do the push away diet? Push away from that fucking table. I'm sorry, you know, just say no. I mean, her excuse that she could eat an entire apple pie for Thanksgiving without gaining the 8 pounds she usually gains, that's not an excuse. Just don't eat an entire apple pie, you know?
Yeah, put the fork down.
Indeed. Can I ask you, because I'm very curious, how has the United States perceived the video, like celebrities or anybody that Princess Catherine put out? Because I mean, I've been crying when I watch that. I've been down a little bit. I go watch it. Oh, I mean, how has it been received in the United States, as far as you can tell? Enty?
Oh, me. I mean, like I said, I think that everybody loved it. But I am seeing like all this, like, you know, remember when, you know, the other photo came out or whatever, and so there had been some alterations, and so now they're just making this case that the whole thing is photoshopped, and then it's not a real video, and that it's AI, and the kids have all been inserted into the video and they weren't really there, and it's so just, I don't know, just let them have their video together. Why do you have to, you know, do that kind of thing? And just because they're happy, then you have to ruin it. And I find it very kind of off-putting.
If they talk about Photoshop, I mean, Meghan Markle has been photoshopping that toe like crazy. She's been photoshopping that toe like crazy, because suddenly her little toes are all the same size or less than, you know, like, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know, the Photoshop, Meghan Markle does not put a picture out without being heavily Photoshopped. So I don't understand why they don't call her out.
Girl, I told you, I feel like they did that on purpose, because there's a ton of photos like Archie's christening photos, right? That we have all figured out that are basically fraudulent photos. So part of me feels like that was coordinated to go after Catherine and her Photoshop. So later, Meghan and Harry can say, well, look at our christening photos. The palace made us Photoshop these photos. It's their fault, so that they can be the victims if the truth does come out about those photos not being legit photos. That's what I think. That's why I think that whole Photoshop scandal broke.
And what do you know about the visa case, Enty? And I hate to say you were right.
Of course he was right.
It really does bother me about this because I was looking for justice. I want the truth. It's like I was so sure that they were going to get him. What do you mean? So you were right and I was wrong.
No, you're not wrong. I mean, look, it wasn't going to happen. I know the Heritage Foundation is hoping that, that it being closed is just, while there's the opportunity for, the U.S. government to appeal or something like that. But I think that they're being overly optimistic about that. I just think that, all you have to do is tell a judge national security, and then they can't do anything. So I am hopeful. I'm hopeful that the Heritage Foundation is correct, and that that it's just allowing an opportunity for the government to appeal. But I think that here's the thing: is that the Heritage Foundation would know, right? I know that they're being optimistic, and I know I've seen people say, "Oh, closed doesn't really mean closed." You're right; it doesn't always mean closed. But if it was appealed, okay, let's say the judge is saying to the government, "This is how I'm going to rule, and I'm going to allow you the opportunity to appeal before I rule." The Heritage Foundation would know that, because the judge would make it clear, because the Heritage Foundation's attorneys need to be able to respond to the appeal. So so I get it. But I think the Heritage Foundation needs to go shopping for another judge and find somebody like that.
Another judge that has balls or something like that. Well, they're not going to use that as an excuse, but they can say, can we get another judge?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's several judges that, like to stick it to the U.S. government, and they should have maybe picked one of those. I also think that depending on who wins the election, that's a possibility, that you could see something happen. I
have never wanted Trump to win so much.
But I mean, I'm hopeful. I hope the Heritage Foundation is correct. But my experience is that, yeah, you can have this sealed or whatever until the ruling's sealed, until, somebody's allowed to appeal. But the other side's going to know that, right? So they would have said, look, the judge would have called them in and said, I'm going to seal this for right now. This is how I'm going to rule. And so if the government would like to appeal, or Heritage Foundation, however the judge was going to rule. But if the government, hey, if you want to appeal or whatever, I'm just going to keep it sealed right now. I'm not going to talk about the ruling. You can go ahead and appeal. Okay, that's great. But he would have to let Heritage Foundation know, I'm not going to tell you my ruling, but obviously if I'm going to let the government appeal, then they're the ones who are going to be disappointed. So you guys are going to be happy. But so they would know that. They would actually know, because you can't just say, that's the thing, is that I totally get it. It's not closed in certain senses, but the other side would know, because you can't just say, because they have to be able to respond to whatever the government is going to say.
So how do you appeal a sealed document, though?
Yeah, go for it, Molly.
Sorry. How do you appeal a sealed document?
Oh, you can appeal a sealed document all the time. If you think about like Britney Spears, let's put that, almost the entirety of the case was sealed, always. They would clear the courtroom and stuff like that. Sealed just means that the public doesn't know what's in it, right? It doesn't mean that the attorneys for either side don't know. So so things are often sealed. National security stuff is always sealed. But and so the attorneys in whatever case, they generally have security clearances. So that way they can argue and they can see all the information. So it's, not redacted and stuff. So they could, do the best for their client. So in this particular case, sealing something, it doesn't mean anything other than the fact that it's not available to the general public. So if it's closed or whatever, then if it really is closed, then the Heritage Foundation is probably going to file like a Freedom of Information Act request to try and get it unsealed. And there's something shady obviously going on. And the one thing that I remember seeing from this ruling or whatever is that they were talking about it and they said, whatever, and I don't have it in front of me, whatever immigration benefits, or something like that, the visa benefits that he has or whatever, it needs to be kept secret. Because remember last week when we were talking, Paula, we were talking about the A1 visa and, whether or not you can be taxed or things like that. And so they're keeping it a secret what his visa status is and the benefits that he has gained from that visa status. That was like part of the thing. And so they want to keep that private. What I don't understand is that, they say that everybody who files an application has a right to keep it private and not made public. Yeah, that's true to some extent. But when you have something of the public interest, which is what the Heritage Foundation has been arguing, then that, trumps the whole, keeping everything quiet in the application status, because the people of the country need to know this guy who's enjoying the benefits of U.S. taxpayer dollars. What did he say on this application? Because remember, we talked about a million times, we are subsidizing at least a portion of his security. So the U.S. taxpayers are paying for, him. We have a right to know.
Yeah. And the thing is with the A1 visa, I organized it once for the son of a still ruling king of a royal household in Europe, right? And it was because he was vacationing in Costa Rica. And you don't really need a visa when you travel to these places. The only time you need an A1 visa is when you go representing the country on the monarch's behalf. Because, for example, as a UK citizen, you do not need a visa. You just fill out the ESTA online. Okay. The only time you need a visa as such is because it needs to be recorded as a special status when the person enters. Because having an A1 visa automatically gives you more security, other things. Guys, it is a whole thing when you have an A1 visa, and Harry can't just ask for it. That would mean that the Home Office in the United Kingdom is involved, because they are the ones who have to request that visa on behalf of Harry, and that visa can only be granted if it's representing His Majesty the King or the United Kingdom and U.S. soil.
But remember what we talked about last week, though. We said there's a line when you pulled it all up, but it says like to be, as determined. So basically you can make up whatever, reasoning you want or whatever. And so it depends. The State Department can interpret it however they want because of that one sentence. So, he doesn't necessarily need to be representing England, but he could argue that he is. My complaint is that he obviously lives in the United States. He is not representing England. I understand that they can use loopholes or whatever and say that he is, and maybe that's why he goes back and forth. But no, he is living in the United States. He is married to a U.S. citizen. He has been here for many years. We are paying money to support him while he's here, and he needs to be on a green card, and he needs to be paying U.S. taxes. And this is why I think that the outrage of the American people would be such as that, okay, we're not only paying taxes, he's earning all this money or whatever and shuttling it back to, under the guise of this A1 visa, and he's not paying any taxes. And, I think everybody would be extremely upset. And then, here's the thing. If he's on an A1 visa, then it doesn't really matter if he used drugs and stuff, because they're just going to do the favor for the government anyway, and they'll give him diplomatic status. But the problem is if you're filing for a green card, then it matters, because then if you lied on that, then you shouldn't be able to get a green card. But I don't think he has a green card because he's not paying taxes.
Yeah. It's actually quite disgusting. But the whole thing of this though is that the UK government has to request that visa, which means that the UK government would be in cahoots too. Because I can guarantee I can put my son's life on the line in my life. Nobody, even if you work for the government, you can't pitch up to the US embassy and say, give me an A1 visa. That I used to do this for a living, guys. You need, even when you go as a diplomat, you have to submit your documents and I couldn't work in any commercial thing when I was in Belgium or any other countries I was in, because you are there. There's very strict rules because you get so many benefits that you can't work or do any commercial stuff because you're exempt from paying taxes in the country that you're in. I was paying taxes that from the country where they sent me. I still have to pay my taxes from my salary, but in the country that you are in there, you don't pay any taxes. So this is one of the reasons why you can't work, because it's really a wicked thing. So you know what, Enty, I love it that we're talking about this, because you are so amazing. And and this is all we're trying to do, because you are right. The UK, I think that the UK and the US are in cahoots together, and they don't want to show those documents because they know that what they've done, it breaks pretty much the diplomatic, the Vienna Convention agreement. There's so many things that are being violated that rather than saying we screwed up, they just rather cover it up and keep it sealed. That's just my opinion, So, but I mean, you're right. I mean, that little line that you highlighted, that is under their discretion. So Harry could be farting around, running around at all Montecito and bookshops and stuff like that. And that could be government work.
100% agree. I mean, and it's not like, look, I did like this whole 9/11 episode yesterday for 9/11. And basically, England and the US have a history of, covering things up. And, there's this lawsuit that all the survivors' families, the families of the people who died and others and stuff, they've been suing Saudi Arabia for like 2 decades. Yeah. And one of the things that has come out that the British government finally released last year is that the British government and the US government essentially covered up for Saudi Arabia. And there was all this stuff and about this spy from Saudi Arabia who was living in the US and helped several of the hijackers and stuff. But they always kept it quiet. And they always said, we're not going to release that. So the 9/11 Commission people lied. Everybody lied. And so the US and the UK, they have this special relationship. And so if Harry wants an A1 visa or whatever, that's great. We'll give him an A1 visa. That's not a problem whatsoever. We'll do that for you guys. And no, doesn't want to pay taxes. That's great. The other thing is, every year, they don't always say how much, but every year the royal family always talks about the taxes, right? Because, prior to Queen Elizabeth, you didn't have to pay taxes. Queen Elizabeth just decided, it's not fair. I'm going to pay taxes. And so they do that. But Harry's doesn't seem like he's paying taxes in England or America.
Absolutely. I think he's a little ginger wiener. What do you think, Molly?
Of course he is. Of course he's a little ginger wiener. I feel like, you know what? We got our answer. We basically know what our answer is once those documents were done under seal. That tells you everything you need to know, in my opinion. That they are protecting Harry, and clearly I think that Harry never really filed documents when he went over to the US, because remember, they went over on Tyler Perry's jet. I feel like they never filed documents because remember, they were looking for the documents and needed a 2-week extension.
Oh, yes, true. That's true.
Remember, but everything should be in the computer. It should be in the system. But why would you need a 2-week extension to find Harry's documents? I feel like Harry screwed himself when he came out and blurted out all his illegal drug use. He opened the door, and the public deserves to know, especially if the Americans are paying for his security.
And the thing is, though, Molly and Enty, this is really interesting what you said, because I also read that in what the Heritage said, that they want to give time to the government to appeal, and they didn't look that upset. And I was thinking, well, wait a minute, buddy, how can you not know? I'm sure that you know, but maybe you can't say that because they're giving it time for the government. But I caught that and I thought, am I misunderstanding this? I might, because the judge gave this order, but some people are saying that it's terminated completely.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, when people are saying, oh, closed doesn't mean closed, I get it 100% because they're right. But what Heritage Foundation said in their explanation and what other people are saying is, oh, you know, you can appeal, but that's fine. But Heritage Foundation would know that the government is going to appeal, or the judge could have said, oh, Heritage Foundation, I don't really, you know, agree with you. And so Heritage Foundation could appeal, but Heritage Foundation would say, we're going to appeal. The judge can't give an order that says, I don't want either one of you mentioning the fact that you're going to appeal. That doesn't make any sense. So you can keep everything secret. Like, let's say, you know, because we have intelligence courts and, you know, they're appealed to appeals courts. You might not know anything that's in that trial because it's all national security. But, you know, you do know, you know, if
Why
it's been
is it
appealed.
national security, Maya? That's what I wanted to ask you. Why are they quoting national security over a one-carat ginger with a small woo-woo?
I don't know, because he's, you know, whatever he is, fourth in line, you know, or whatever. I mean, it's just something that they're doing. But if you say national security, then it gets shut down, right? Because there's not another logical explanation. Because the judge could say, it's just, I've determined that it's not in the public interest, blah, 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 right? And the Heritage Foundation would appeal. But if the judge says, well, it's national security, just there's stuff in here that you can't see or whatever. I mean, so then it kind of closes the door because there's no other explanation or whatever. And like I said, you know, there are intelligence courts and everything's completely closed. It's sealed off and everything. But what you do know is if whatever side loses and they want to appeal, they still file a notice of appeal. And that's public. Everything in the appeal is sealed, but you still know that there is an appeal to it. And in this case, if the government was going to appeal, and I don't know how long the judge gave them or whatever, if that's even the case, but let's say he said, oh, I'm going to give you the chance to appeal. It would probably be like in the next week or two. And that's not going to happen. Nothing is going to happen in this case prior to the election. Nothing.
Do you think so?
Yeah, nothing's going to happen. There's not going to be any solution or whatever. Nothing is going to happen prior to the election.
What do you think about for the
Sorry, Paula, you're aware that Harry does like officially consider the U.S. as his primary residence, right? So would that change anything?
Absolutely. Ooh, if it does, because there's a UK tax credit.
Remember, April 18th, 2024, not too long ago, when Prince William came back on his first day of royal duty since Catherine's cancer announcement, Harry released, their sources released a thing saying that Harry officially considers the US and not Britain as his primary residence, and he backdated it to the day that he lost Frogmore Cottage.
That is so true. And I know a little bit about this. I'm not an accountant, okay? But I know because Norway has a trade, you know, like they have this agreement, tax agreement. So you can only have it for a certain amount of time. Afterwards, you have to show that you're still residing in the UK. You have to literally, you have to get a thing from the government saying, in order for you to enjoy the benefits of not being double taxed. So the United States and the United Kingdom, they do have that trade agreement, you know, that tax agreement, but it's only valid if, for example, he has to show proof of residence, and then after a certain period of time, that no longer applies. I think you have about 18 or 19 months, at least in the Norway thing. But I think it's pretty much standard between the UK and the US. So after 18 months, our little ginger boy would have to actually choose a country, because it has to be one country has to enjoy some taxes. You know that, you know, the taxman comes for everybody.
I get it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I know, because I'm doing this with mine, you know, because I have a dual nationality, and the thing about taxes is I was being double taxed, and then I had to present proof.
But so he's been there since 2020.
Yeah, but he had up to 18 months. And another thing, and you can help me out with this, Enty, he's been leaving the country back and forth. So I think that you have up to 3 trips that you can leave, right? In order to kind of circumvent, because you have to be 183 days in the US to be declared official resident, but he's been coming in and out and traveling everywhere. And I read that, yeah.
Okay, the 183 days, yes. So if you think about like Canadians coming down to America, they come for, you know, the whole winter or whatever like that, and so they need to make sure that they go back. But it's 6 months all in, right? It's not. So if you come down for 2 months, go back home for a week, come back for 2 months, go home for a week, come back for 2 months or whatever, it still counts up to the 180 days. But what we all need to get through our heads is that Harry's not. If you have the support of the UK government and the head of the US government, you can do whatever the heck you want, right? There's always exceptions to all of this kind of stuff. You can become a citizen by introducing a private bill in Congress, right? If you can get a congressman to write a law that says this person is a citizen and you pass this bill or whatever, you can do that. Nobody does it. It hasn't happened since like the 50s and 60s, but you can technically still do that. You can do whatever you want if you have the heads of the government agreeing on something. So yes, he leaves or whatever the country for a couple of days or whatever, but that doesn't reset the clock. It doesn't do anything like that because it's still a total time spent, you know. And you know, that's why, you know, again, I'm using the Canadian thing, but you know, they come down in October, you know, after Canadian Thanksgiving, and they're out the door by April. And then they don't come to America at all the rest of the time because they don't want to go over that 6 month thing. But the 6 month is cumulative. You could come for a month here, a month the next month, a month every other month or whatever, but it still adds up to 6 months. You can't be longer. It doesn't reset the clock if you go back to Canada for 3 weeks. It doesn't reset. You know, it's a 12-month rolling kind of calendar. So Harry gets to do whatever Harry wants because obviously the UK government and the US government have made some kind of deal. And think about it like this. Let's say, I don't know, let's say Obama wanted to go live in England, right? Let's say Obama wanted to go live in England. You think that they're going to say, well, you know what? You're going to have to leave after 6 months or whatever. No, they're not going to make him do that. They're going to make some kind of deal or whatever. And he could live there for the rest of his life if he wanted to, you know. It's because when you get to a certain level, I know what you said, Paul, about the tax man always wants their tax. Yeah, they do 99.9999999% of the time. But if you're somebody high enough up, then the tax man says, we'll take a pass.
Yeah, he's right. And he's right 100%. Yeah. Like, yeah, I know I'm right.
That makes me so angry, you know. But look what happened. I have a comeback. Hunter Biden. Isn't he facing jail time? And he's the son of whatever.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen on January 19th, 2025?
I don't know what's going to happen.
Dad's going to pardon him. It's a federal crime.
Biden's not going to be. Oh, he can pardon people before he leaves. Yeah.
Yes, that is the big day. The day before the inauguration is that's the big day. And especially if you're not going to be in politics anymore. Clinton, like the first time or whatever, because he knew he had the other 4 years or whatever. No, he didn't. That weren't there any pardons. They were like, oh my gosh, the low-level marijuana offenses, stuff like that. It's before you're out the door and you know you're never going to run again or whatever, and you're getting out of politics and you need some money because you don't have a lot of money. That's when the big checks start rolling in, and then you're pardoning everybody. Just whatever. Who cares, right? Nobody can do anything. You can't revoke the pardon. So that's what's going to happen. And so Hunter, plead guilty. You know, Dad'll take care of you the day before he gets out of, you know, president.
Isn't that illegal though?
No. Presidents have unlimited pardons. You're not supposed to take a bribe for them, but you know, you go back and look at Clinton, like with what's her name, like Rich or something like that. You know, all presidents, look, think about Obama never had any money. Clinton never had any money. Mm-hmm. Now, Obama signed a book deal or whatever, but he still didn't have the money yet. So what do you do when you're about to leave office? How is it that all of a sudden, as soon as Clinton leaves after 8 years and Obama leaves after 8 years, these people that had never made a lot of money, never made more than their presidential salary, all of a sudden have millions upon millions upon millions of dollars?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's right.
I mean, I should become a politician. No, but I mean, this is disgusting. So, you know, I do believe that the case is not terminated about the visa case. I think that's far from it. And I don't think that Harry should be really, because he's a moron. I don't even think he can read. I mean, I don't know, but I'm hoping that is what I understood, and you kind of gave me a little bit of hope that that could be the case. We're not saying it is, but I also understood that when he said something about appeal, and I'm like, what do you mean appeal? And they were like, we're gonna keep a close eye on it, and blah blah blah. And I'm like, okay, so but people, I know that even Newsweek has published case terminated, and I'm like, shit. I can't be. This is not good. Like it's pretty awful. And what do you make of his birthday celebrations away from Meghan? I would too if I had to look at her skanky face.
I'll let Molly take that one.
I don't think he's having a birthday celebration. Harry's going to be hanging out in the chicken coop in his dirty underwear playing Xbox, smoking joints all day long. What friends? We're supposed to believe that all of a sudden he's going on a men's getaway, Brokeback Mountain style, up with his friends like James Corden and other men. Harry has no friends. I bet you Meghan sent in that report. But the fact that him and Meghan aren't doing anything together says a lot, because I thought Salt and Pepper moved together.
Oh, yes.
Remember?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Salt and pepper. Should I have my salt and pepper shaker here? Oh, my God. That's true. But did you think that she leaked that he's going away from her? Because that's actually quite petty.
It is petty, but also this is what we know, that they are the leaks now. They are the leakers. And it's just baffling to me because Harry is going ahead with his UK security case, right? He's going.
Why are they allowing him to appeal?
Yeah. And the crazy thing is that he constantly puts out into the media where he's going to be, where he's going, when he's going, what flight, like everything. We know all the details.
Are they selling these stories, Enty? Because I understood, this is just a liberty, that apparently they're trying to work on a deal for people to get the exclusive photos of Harry's hike.
I don't think that there's demand for the photos at all. When they went to Colombia or whatever, there was, obviously a little bit of demand and stuff. I can't imagine anybody paying for it. There's just no demand, right, at all. If you look at like the bookstore stuff, yeah, I mean, if you go looking for it, you can find it, but nobody really cared. They cared more about Oprah and stuff, nobody cares about Harry hiking photos. Oh, how much are you going to sell them for? $100, something like that, $200. Enough to make it worthwhile for the photographer or whatever. But photos nowadays, they don't really sell for a lot. You have to have something that really, sets the tone. It's basically, gone are the days of 2007, 2008 when people paid, $5 million or whatever for exclusive baby pictures of, Jessica Simpson's kids or whatever. That's just, the money's not there anymore. That's why there's so few photo agencies now. Backgrid's out there, and yeah, they got a guy goes out there. Hey, let me take your picture. Great. And maybe they can sell it for a couple $100. They made their money for the day, but nobody cares. The only photos they have to be salacious. It has to be something like Justin Timberlake making out with, somebody in New Orleans or whatever. It has to be something like that. Nobody cares enough about Meghan and Harry to pay top dollar. There's no shopping around to be had. Now, if they if they got like announced their divorce or something like that, right? Then the photos right after that, like, oh, Meghan steps out for the first time since filing for divorce. Okay, that's probably a several $1,000 photo, or Harry or whatever, or the first picture of some new girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever. Okay, those are a couple $1,000 because people will be interested in that. But there has to be some kind of reason. Her going to on a hike or something, nobody cares.
Look, Meghan is stuck in the 2007 era where she thinks that her photos can be sold for $5 million. She thinks that photos of Archofficial and Invisibet will be worth that much when nobody really cares. Right?
I mean, that is insane. And I mean, Molly, to you and to you, Enty, do you guys, both of you, do you think any birthday is a milestone, but we know that the 40s, 30s, and 50s, they're huge. And here we have Harry choosing to spend away with gay friends in Nacho rather than Meghan Markle. I mean, do you think that marriage is pretty much over?
He's still willing to dress the way she tells him to. So, I mean, if he's willing to do that, look, if he wants to spend his 40th birthday away or whatever,
There's nothing.
yeah,
wrong.
I'd want to spend my 40th birthday away from her too. So, he can go smoke pot, not be yelled at. Can actually do some guy things that she doesn't let him do. She doesn't let him out of the house alone, really. I mean, that's what the especially since the whole surfing lesson thing. So she doesn't let him out of the house. Okay, think about this. She used to let him out of the house, and then he would go over to Adele's all the time. This is like when they were.
Oh, really?
He would go over to Adele's all the time, and they would drink wine and smoke pot. And then, Meghan said, don't. So he stopped doing that. And then, okay, well, I'm going to take some surfing lessons or whatever. And then all of a sudden he can't do that. He wanted to go watch the UEFA Cup or whatever. She goes, no. We might have some people. She doesn't let him out of the house ever. So if he really is getting to go for the 40th birthday, that's great. The only time he's been out of the house is when he went to Japan or whatever. And on that Asian tour with Nacho.
Singapore.
Yeah, Singapore. And that's the only time. And that's because it was for money. And so
he was in the UK though now.
Yeah, okay. But that's like for 2 days, right? I mean, that's kind of quote unquote work. Or
I was gonna ask, does she put an air tag on him, Enty? Or track him when he does leave the house, like on his devices? Do you think she does that?
Oh, well, okay. She probably doesn't. She would if they didn't have security with him, and she knows where they are all the time, right? So she doesn't need to do that. But is she the person, like if they didn't have security, yeah, she'd be tracking him all the time, saying, "Wait, you told me you told me you were going to Starbucks. What are you doing in a coffee bean?"
But what if the security people don't tell her? Because that bodyguard, especially Molly, you did the thing that with that bodyguard that he's been with Harry for like 20 some years at Baldy. And what if they don't tell her?
No, she knows because they're tracking them. They have to track them from somewhere. So now the bodyguard might not tell her what he's doing, but I think that they always have a pretty good idea of where they are.
No, she could also put a tracking device on his phone, can't he? Can she?
Yeah, 100%.
That's disgusting. What a mess this whole thing is. And what do you think is going to happen? I heard that they're planning a third trip, and they said that it might be Botswana for the Lesotho thing, another royal tour.
Okay. I said...
You had mentioned in October.
I had mentioned, I said Halloweenish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so now all of a sudden the Daily Mail's like, oh, look at this exclusive news. They planning a trip before the end of the year. I already told you guys that. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know where it's going to be though, because they were in talks with a couple of different countries, and I don't know if some of them passed after the bad press that the Colombia,
that didn't go well.
That did not go well. So I don't know if some of those countries passed or whatever, but yeah, they were talking about Halloween because Halloween's a Thursday, and if you're out of the country on Halloween, then you don't have to fake those photos like we had last Halloween, where they're taking the kids trick-or-treating.
But they're never there for the children's event. Didn't we do a live, Enty, where we said that they chose the weekend where their kid, at least one of them, they visit children, were supposed to start school, which is actually quite a big deal. It's quite a big milestone, right, Molly? And you said that they chose. You were the one who informed us that
she was missing. She was missing the picnic for new kids or whatever it was for the school district or whatever. And I forget where she was now, but she was missing it. And so I was like, okay, are you gonna really miss that if it's your kid's first day and first time? And like Halloween, if they are gone on Halloween, if they do go that weekend. It just feels like they just are intentionally like throwing their kids under the bus and just like, no, you don't get to go Halloween, or you're going to have a security guard take you or whatever. We just can't be bothered because some, Central African country is going to, throw $1 million at us and treat us like kings for 5 days.
But do they get paid for those? Because I heard that, what was that whole thing? Molly, right? We saw that the vice president, she was angry with Meghan for eyeing her man. You know what Meghan does with those hugs? Because at least Harry doesn't put his pelvis up against people. He does caress Nacho's hand on camera, but he doesn't. It's like buddy fudging. Meghan Markle goes and puts her pelvis against people. It's it's so invasive. But what do you think happened? Because then, what's her name? Francia Marquez, the lady from Colombia. She said, "Oh no, we didn't. We only spent $45,000 on."
Backtrack. After it was exposed, it was over nearly $2 million. They think that we're stupid. That incensed me. That made me so angry when I saw that. But sorry, were you asking that of Enty or me?
No, of you. You have to talk. I mean, talking woman, go for it.
I've been listening to Enty talk. He's so full of knowledge and information. I just want him just to go off on everything.
No, Enty, we were talking, Molly and I were saying you're like a snake charmer with your voice. It's like we're both.
Now you're going to scare him away.
No, Enty, are you there? Are you there?
I'm here.
There you go. See, lower even. Hijo Dios mío. Oh, Dios mío. No.
Paula, you're so dramatic.
I know. I learned how to do this without hitting myself, which is why I'm doing it all the time now. But no, I am just baffled by, we have the visa case, which is insane. Then he was there with, what's his name? Earl Spencer.
Yeah.
He's a nutcase. This man is a nutcase.
Well, apparently.
Yeah, now they've invited them for Christmas and stuff like that. And so then they can have a for Christmas type of situation, like a competing Christmas, Yeah, you guys, sure, you're over there. But hey, I'm with Diana's family, because I care about, our mother's family and you don't, William. You're just off with dad and, the horrible queen and all that kind of stuff. And, I don't think they'll go there for Christmas. I don't think Meghan's ever going to, step foot anywhere over there, but they might. But, here's the thing. If they go over there for Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. What if they go over there for Christmas and then they leave the kids behind? You guys have Christmas with the bodyguards and the housekeepers.
Molly will have a field day with that. Do that. I can see Molly doing videos. That'll be the end of the internet for Molly, for Meghan Markle. Molly, like when I hear her sometimes typing while we're doing our lives, I can just see that. I mean, I would love for her. You know what, Enty? They're that stupid. They might do it because the UK is not safe.
No, it's a horror show, and they're not safe, and they can't bring the kids because the UK is so unsafe, and they won't protect them. So the kids are just going to have to spend Christmas alone, back in Montecito, and while mom and dad, cosplay as Diana and William.
Molly, do you think that they would bring them?
Who, the phantom children?
Yeah, I mean, do you think they would?
Hostages? No, definitely not. No, of course not. Then Meghan wouldn't be the center of attention.
Oh my God! You know what I can see her. Go for it.
I can probably see Harry and Meghan going to Althorpe just to stick it, like Enty said, just to stick it to the royal family, but not with the little ones. If there are little ones, that's sad. Because as you know what, in the People article, you saw how Harry had mentioned that they wanted to keep the little ones safe and from any kind of kidnapping. Like it literally said that. So
I don't understand that at all, because there's so many rich people and with kids and stuff, and I don't think that they would be a target. Nobody goes, oh my gosh, I want to kidnap Meghan and Harry's kids. It's just not that kind of thing. What are you going to get? It's not like the days of, let's go ransom some, billionaire's kid or whatever. And I don't understand this obsession and this need with the amount of security or whatever. Did Oprah have security at the bookstore? She had a driver, right? She had a guy, take her to the bookstore or whatever, but they're not like in the room like, oh my gosh, stay away from Oprah or anything. Oprah's like, hey, it's just I don't understand it at all.
You know what?
Go
Sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
What Meghan is doing is because Meghan knows that Harry is always very emotional over the fact that he couldn't protect his mother. So I feel like she manipulates him with that, like, oh, the children aren't going to be safe. They're going to get kidnapped. So she's constantly got him under her thumb because Harry has always said, like, I feel like I couldn't protect my mother. So I feel like she completely manipulates him with that by keeping him in that state of always being paranoid that something is going to happen, that Harry needs to protect the family or something's going to happen to them because he couldn't protect their mother and something happened to her. That's what I feel like is going on.
If his mom had put on a seatbelt, she'd be alive.
Yeah, 100%. You're right. If she didn't get with a drunk driver too.
Yeah. And if Earl Spencer allowed her to spend the summer like she asked, because she asked them if she could come and spend the summer with the boys so they would get to know their, their heritage, and now that they were older, because she didn't have any place to go. And he refused because he didn't want her circus around. She'd still be alive, And he's, as we talked about it today, Molly, with Ron, he denied her to stay at there because he didn't want her around. And number two, he's the one who brought Martin Bashir, because she actually had flatly refused that guy, just like she refused Oprah. But because Martin Bashir went to Earl Spencer and he vouched for him, Princess Diana listened to it. Because if my brother is telling me that this is kosher, so this guy is actually quite disgusting, if you ask me. I have never liked him. He was actually here in Nicaragua with the now he's, I don't know if they've completely divorced or what.
And that Charles Spencer didn't even attend his own daughter's weddings. He didn't even walk them down the aisle or anything. He hasn't even seen his grandchildren that his daughter just like gave birth. Kitty Spencer just gave birth, right, to a child not too long ago. Yeah.
He doesn't care. He's like banging some 20-year-old.
Yeah. Anyways, Paula, I gotta get going.
We gotta get going, but I want to thank you guys. I want to thank you guys for joining us and for being here. Enty, we're gonna have to sing with you pretty much every Wednesday. And don't forget, you have a Molly. Go watch them because they did a live. Go watch Enty's channel, please. Enty YouTube and everything. I will leave the links. I actually have him tagged, but I will leave the links. And he's also gonna post the live. I'm gonna send you the link, Enty, and to MeghansMole. Show her the love. We need to get Enty to 100,000 subs and Molly to 100,000 subs. We need to get this community strong. So thank you very much for joining us, Enty and Molly. As usual, you're my girl.
Thanks to both of you. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Qué lindo. I love them.
He's pretty awesome, huh?
Oh,